that I keep hearing all the time is misinformation. It's a term that I'm hearing on the news a lot. It's because the White House is making an effort right now to curtail people going on Facebook and creating information or misinformation about the vaccine, about COVID, about everything. And I just, as I heard it, I just think to myself, everything is misinformation to somebody.
Yeah.
The world is filled with, and so right now the White House is trying to stop Facebook from posting any misinformation about the vaccine. They say it's causing people to die. In fact, they interviewed Joe Biden right before he left for Camp David on Friday, and he's standing there on the lawn getting ready to go on the helicopter, and they're like, "Hey, what do you have to say about you guys monitoring Facebook?" And he said, "Facebook's killing people. They're killing people with putting out this misinformation." He goes, the unvaccinated are the people that are dying. And it's a direct result of what Facebook is putting out there. And I think that's a pretty hardcore accusation from the president of the United States against a company that really kind of helped him get elected. Right. And that's a hot topic. I mean, what does it mean? What is misinformation? What are they saying? What is the truth? Does anyone know? Is there any definitive truth about the vaccine at this point? How can you prove that it's safe? The long-term impact of those things, nobody has any idea. It hasn't even been around for more than a year. It hasn't been investigated. They haven't done the normal protocols to make sure that it's safe. My son took it. I was like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" He's like, "What do you mean it's safe?" I'm like, "Do you even know what's in it? Do you have any idea?"
No.
I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm not doing this with a political. I'm looking at it for my own health. I'm not putting a fucking shot in my goddamn body from the fucking government because they say it's okay, and they're now pleading with people to fucking take it.
Oh no, they definitely want everyone to take it, regardless of what the outcome may be. All right, so I'm going to go back to what you started with, which is misinformation.
Okay.
Misinformation is an educated term for fake news. That's all that is.
Okay.
It's the same thing that Donald Trump said for years.
Oh,
and
exactly.
It's just presented in a more sophisticated manner that's acceptable. If we went on there and said Facebook's spreading fake news, that article's going to be like, "Oh, well, that's not okay." But if you say, "Well, it's misinformation," and you're like, "Well, what do you mean misinformation?" "Well, it's information, but it's misinformation." You're like, "So it's not information?" No, it is. It's just that there's Facebook and Twitter are both in a position that nobody could foresee coming at all from the conception of the internet.
Oh yeah.
So they're both just treading in new water. There's no grounds for what you should and shouldn't be able to do. You would say, "All right, well, I have free speech." Yeah, okay. Well, if you go post with your free speech on Facebook, you're going to get banned for 30 damn days. Definitely.
I'm currently banned.
And then if you go on Twitter and you have your free speech, except you don't, we can ban people for saying things they don't like. But and so
the government is telling a private company. The government is now telling a private company, which is in direct conflict with the Constitution, which I do see. And the press secretary for the United States stood in front of the press and was asked, "So you all are spying on people's Facebook pages and telling Facebook whether or not to flag what they're saying or take off or ban the people?" And she was like, "Yes, that is what we're doing."
So Facebook to me is full of 98% random bullshit nonsense. And then you have 2% of it that is information, and half of that information is wrong and half of it is right. And I see it every single day, regardless of what we're even talking about. It could be just something like, "Hey, how do I change the oil filter on my car?"
Right.
7 different, and honest to God, I talked about this even in a joke before. It was like, just ask Facebook. People stopped researching anything of like if you had a pain in your knee, would you go ask Facebook what to do about it?
People do.
They do it every day.
Every day.
But it could be something as
how do I fix this? How do I get to this place? Anybody have any suggestions for this?
90% of Facebook posts should be Google searches, for one, and then there's nothing to stop you from going, "All right, now let's just say this. what are the odds that somebody out there on the internet knows a thing or two about, let's just say, vaccines, for the sake of this argument.
Sure.
And that person goes, hey, by the way, this has potential side effects that could kill a select group of people. And they put it on Twitter and they put it on Facebook. And that person has all, maybe a little clout in their own realm.
Right.
But in the team, and then let's just say it goes viral, takes off, and they shut it down. And then 2 years from now, we got 1 billion people half dead over a vaccine they took. And this guy goes, oh, I told you, and I got silenced. We don't know what the problem is that, like we said before, most people are fucking stupid. We don't know how any of this shit works. We just have to believe that the person telling us knows what they're talking about. And that person, through COVID, is Fauci. That's the person. He's giving everyone the information. Now, he's also getting the information from somebody else because he's not in a laboratory all day figuring this shit out. No. He's getting the information.
He's got a team of people that he trusts.
Probably hundreds of people that work day in, day out to try stuff. And they go, well, this one does okay.
Right.
And so he's, at some point when you play telephone with people, the message is not the same at some point.
Right.
And so where is the misinformation? Now, if Fauci had said something that was slightly misinformed and we all believe it, what's the impact versus you saying something that's misinformed?
Well, I don't know who these people are. Apparently there's 12 people that they're specifically monitoring on Facebook. At this point, it's 12. I'm sure the number could grow or change.
Right there, it's the article. 12 accounts behind most online vaccine information.
Misinformation, yeah.
But what is that? But look, at the end of the day, we make up our own mind. And if there's 12 people that can convince you that shit is either going to make you live 1,000 years or it will kill you tomorrow. Some people are going to believe either way, regardless. Some people are going to believe it based
That's my thing about misinformation. I mean, when you say something is misinformation, look, man, a lot of stuff that was misinformation yesterday is the fucking main information today. And I don't ultimately know where the origin of COVID is from, but originally, when they said that it came from a lab, that was flagged as misinformation. And now they're doing an investigation because I think that might have come from a lab. And ultimately, they'll find out whether it did or it didn't. Somebody's going to determine. They're going to be able to find out the origin of it. And enough scientists get involved, unless they don't want the answer to be made public. Somebody knows. In fact, there's already somebody who knows. Right now, there's somebody who knows.
Yeah.
The people that if they let it out of a lab, if they were making it in a lab and let it out of a lab. But the thing about it ultimately now is it's out. We have, COVID-19, coronavirus 19 is one of many. It's 19 because there's other coronaviruses. There's coronaviruses and they all adapt and they all what is it called when they
basically live a cycle?
I mean, they
evolve.
They evolve and they change and they get worse and they get stronger and they mutate and they do all kinds of different things. And you got to figure out a way to defend yourself. What are they going to do a year from now when there's another one that gets out? We are going to have to get vaccinated again. And then what's going to be the thing of that vaccine combined with this vaccine? I'm just not putting that shit in my fucking body. I'm taking my chances. I'm going to I try to be healthy. Outside of El Toro, I generally try to put pretty healthy things inside my body and make sure that I'm exercising and it's amazing to me that how often we think that a medication is going to solve our problems. I just don't believe that. And I got an argument with my son. I really feel bad because he just went right along with it. He's like, well, they say it's safe. I asked him, do you know what's in it? Do you have any idea what the ingredients are? No, he didn't. And so, when I hear the term misinformation according to who? Who is the expert? You've got 12 people right now that might be the only 12 people telling the truth about anything. We don't know. We really don't know. And even the people right now that are suppressing their speech and preventing them from talking could come back a few months from now and be like, wow, we were wrong. They were right.
What's funny about that is, and we're going to have to do an episode, we're going to have to do a long episode one day about Alex Jones. But Alex Jones is, that was his life. He was a journalist. He was a respected journalist for many years. I mean, he was like big time in the political scene. And then he went off and he starts with all of these conspiracy theories, and he says some wild stuff. And the problem is that if you have some, I don't know who these, we got this article here, who they were, the 12 accounts that came down, what you're talking about. But at some point, some of the stuff Alex said was very true. And it comes after the fact when the bad shit has already happened. And then they go, oh, well, by the way, I said that 4 years ago.
Well, here's the thing. It's I don't really know a lot about him. I'm not going to pretend like I do. I don't. But what I can say is, if you're going to do that, you've got to make sure that you're right 100% of the time. Because if you go off on these crazy things that turn out to just be crazy, then they can easily dismiss everything you say as being crazy. So you have to be accurate with everything that you say. If you're going to go against, the mainstream thought, if you're going to present people with conspiracy theories that really aren't conspiracy theories but are fact, you have to, first of all, make sure that they are fact. And you can't just spew them out as possibilities. Right now, nobody gives a fuck what I think. Nobody gives a fuck what I say. But if at some point my words ever carry some weight, then it's going to be important. That's why one of the things I like about what we do here is that we always look up the information and try to confirm what we're saying as we're saying it, so that we're not just sitting here spewing out a bunch of craziness and a bunch of bullshit, but that we're researching it and finding out from reliable sources that what we're saying is actually true. And I think that in the case of somebody like Alex Jones, my guess is, based on what I've heard, not just from you, but from other people, is that he got to the point where nobody believed what he was saying.
Right.
And if you get to the point where nobody believes you, then you lose your audience.
Well, no, I won't. I'm gonna take back the one I said. Right. Alex Jones never lost his audience. That's the difference. Alex Jones's audience never went away. People believe what Alex Jones is doing. The difference is that bigger people came out and said, "Oh, you can't talk about that. We need to stop you." And they censored the ever-loving shit out of Alex. Now, were there some things that he said that were definitely far in left field? Absolutely. Far out there. Do I think that he went on air ever and said something that he did not believe?
Was he on InfoWars?
Yes, InfoWars.
Okay.
That was Alex Jones' plan. It still is. I wasn't sure. I know he said he was going to stop doing InfoWars this year because it was literally killing him. Like the stress and the anxiety.
Well,
and
I will just
taking him out.
The only reason I asked that is because I did at one point read a long article by somebody who went to work for him and describing what it was like.
I bet it was crazy as fuck.
Well, and he said he started out as a true believer, and he was doing all this research and doing all these things, and ultimately what he found out from being around him was that he was not interested in. Now, again, this is just one article. It could have been written by anybody. I don't know who the fuck wrote it. I don't know if the guy even worked for him. But he said he went to work for him. His name was on it. So obviously, if it was, somebody could have jumped up and this guy's lying. But his name was on it. He said he went to work for him because he believed in what he was doing. He wanted to be a part of it. He wasn't getting paid very well, but he didn't care because he felt like he was exposing the truth. And then ultimately, as he was working for him, he found out that he wasn't really interested in exposing the truth. It was all about what could generate more interest and more money for Alex Jones.
He sold some snake oil. Let's not get around.
Right. Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying.
But
that's where you lose your credibility. And I hope as we're doing this, and we're very new, 12 episodes. First of all, I'm shocked we made it to 12, but I hope that as we go forward and we're trying to establish this as a show that people can come to and rely on, I think some pretty crazy shit. I'm sure you think some pretty crazy shit. We both have some speculation in our mind about the way the world is. I don't necessarily put that speculation out there until I've had some way to confirm it.
Right.
And if the larger your audience is, the bigger your responsibility is to do that. And even if you don't lose your audience because you're lying, if you've lost your credibility, then ultimately what you've sold out.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just gonna come and put a bullet point into the topic, which is this right here. And the statistics are the reason that it came down to these 12 is that they determined 812,000 posts on Facebook and Twitter between February 1st and March 16th, 2021, and found 65% of anti-vaccine content was ultimately attributable to those 12 individuals. Now, I will say this. There are people out there who got a COVID vaccine and died. To those people, that was not misinformation in the least bit. Now, there's also people who got the vaccine. We will never know if they would have died without it, right? Because they didn't get sick enough. Whatever, you made it through. You got the vaccine. You're okay currently.
As of this moment.
As of right now, you're okay. But we do know that there are people that got the first shot, the second shot, and had very severe complications, and people that have died from it. And to those
there are people that have died as a direct result of receiving the vaccine.
Yep.
Do you know what the numbers are on that?
I don't. We can look it up. There's a way we can see. Let's see. Deaths due to COVID. I mean, vaccine. My internet's probably going to tank, and my computer's going to light on fire for Googling that.
Right. I mean, that's...
let's see if there's even a number to even look at. How many people have died between December? All right, so 5,208 reports of death among people who got a vaccine. So, but that's not saying
that doesn't say
directly.
dude,
I don't know that they'll ever even put that out there.
They're gonna put that number out there.
I
was gonna say if there's a way to look that number up, I'd be shocked. There's no way to look that number.
It says after careful review of additional data, doctors have decided that there is no evidence at all that the vaccines contributed to the other patient deaths. Nonetheless, they will investigate all of them. They're not gonna. I don't think they're ever gonna come out and if they were to say that, that would be
the end of the vaccine.
That'd be it. They'd be like, nope, we're not doing this no more. But I do know that I've seen multiple videos of people pleading for help because they got the vaccine. Their child did. The one girl, man, it wrecked her life like immediately after the second shot. Her life's over. I mean, she's damn near vegetable. It's fucking crazy. And there's no other outside influence. She got the shot, done deal. So while 99.9% of people, those don't get the shot, maybe misinformation, there's definitely at least a few people out there that if they believed it would probably still be around. So like I said, it's all misinformation to somebody.
Right. No, that's,
the day that we decide.
I don't trust anybody.
The day we decide.
I don't trust the goddamn government to do anything. What have they shown? What have they done to warrant trust? Nothing.
Yeah, I think that the day we decide that we're going to listen and follow every single thing that this one entity says is the day that we definitely give up a large chunk of our freedom.
Yeah. I mean, is there anything that the government does? Is there one thing that our government does that tells you that they give a flying shit about anybody? Because you can take a look at every single program in the government and everything that they do, tax breaks, support for education, support for motherless, children with single moms, whatever program is out there. There's somebody that benefits tremendously from that being in place and somebody who suffers tremendously from that being in place because it's money that could go somewhere else. Yeah. Even, I was listening to them today. They're talking about how people are trying to defund the military because people don't want the military budget to be as high. They want the money to be spent somewhere else. So they're showing that, they're trying to defund the military. I'm like, man, you can put a spin on anything. That's why I don't trust anybody, anything. I definitely don't trust the government. I would never put a fucking vaccine. I don't give a shit what disease comes out. And I don't care what vaccine comes out. I am not putting that shit in my body for the remainder of my life. Whatever is the result of me not putting it in my body, that's what I'm going to do. And I am not a Republican. I am not a Trump supporter. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I try to take things at face value. I don't look, I saw a guy who thought that building fell down because they blew it up in Miami. They blew it up because liberals thought that people were having too much fun in Miami. I was just like, what? They blew up half a building.
Well, they blew it up because John McAfee rented a place there, and the Trumps live nearby.
I mean, all I'm saying is, I don't trust the government. I'm done taking a vaccine. I don't believe that there's such a thing as misinformation. I believe there's just information to everybody. It's going to be perceived differently.
We have two things that you will hear in your lifetime. We have facts, and we have opinions. And we do not currently have a way to decipher one from the other.
Yeah, I mean, and today's opinion could be tomorrow's fact. And then facts change. I mean, honestly, and I know that sounds crazy. How can a fact change? Well, perspective. There are great memes that I see where somebody is standing on, there's a 9 on the ground or a 6 on the ground, depending on which side you're standing on. And there's a guy looking at it, and he's like, that's a 6. And the other guy's standing, he's going, no, that's a 9. And they're both 100% correct. Depending on how you're looking at things, the world is a terrible place. The world is a great place.